Welcome back to episode 6 of a football show. We've got some midnight madness here. It's currently 1:45. So we said we'd spice things up a bit with an outfit change. Bit of shady business going on, let's say.
Shady business.
Indeed.
Sure, since it's midnight and we're changing things up with the outfit, we're changing things up with the format as well, Owen.
Yes, indeed.
We're going to do our 3 wins and 3 losses to take away from the weekend and just kind of condense the talk a bit and focus on, what we can take away from the weekend of good Premier League action, crazy Premier League action, and some of the not so good stuff. So yeah, who'll kick it off? Me or you with a win?
I don't mind. We should just mention as well. It is Saturday night as well, so Sunday morning now. So we haven't seen the North London derby, but who really cares? The main games happen today. Let's be totally honest about it.
About Arsenal and Spurs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we probably, they might come up at some stage, but for the minute now.
That's a bit like talking about the old Arsenal team of bygone eras, but
when they were relevant and all that, like
that was a long time ago. We probably weren't even born.
I was in nappies.
Yeah. We're gonna do like team. Take away a team that won the week, a player that won the week, and just kind of like a general broad stroke observation just of the week. A good one and a bad one.
And vice versa with losses, team, player, and a broad stroke kind of one. Right, do you want to kick it off, or will I?
Well, give us your team. Who won the week?
My team for this week, and it's kind of been, we're kind of going to sum up a bit of the start of the season as well, especially probably with the teams, I would assume. But I'm going to go with West Ham, and in particular Declan Rice and Antonio in West Ham. I think David Moyes said at some point this season, or maybe at the start of the season, that he was going to make Mikel Antonio his Ronaldo. And by God, is he doing a fair job of it. I always thought Antonio was solid enough, but God, I didn't expect the season he's having so far. Like, he scored again this weekend. He looks unstoppable, I think.
At the end of West Ham and Leeds, and just watching him as a joy, and just he even had he would have had a great goal at one point as well. He just brushed, I think could have been Lee Cooper off, just kind of brushed him off and just planted him and turned around and just kind of caught the shot off the ground then. But his physical strength and his pace and his finishing ability has improved. I think he could be very, very important to West Ham this season.
Yeah, I think the West Ham definitely needed that striker, like they tried with Haller last season, and obviously that didn't work out. But David Moyes has done a fair job on Antonio, I'll say that much. And he's almost like you said, he's been a joy to watch. He's almost like a bit of a B-Tech Lukaku in a way. And that's no disrespect. It's just like Lukaku is obviously elite. But he's that similar kind of player without being as big. He's still a big presence, but obviously Lukaku is.
And you can love football as well. We love a good celebration too, and he enjoys the game, and he gets a buzz out of it. And
you're kind of breaking up some nice bit, man.
You really go further and break. Oh, hello.
Are
you back?
Yeah, you're back there now.
Right, yeah. No, it's literally just about his raw ability, and just he can take West Ham. He can take them as far as David Moyes can take them as well, but that's no disrespect to David Moyes either.
Well, God, he's exceeded my expectations anyway, that's for sure, with them.
And doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, and Declan Rice as well, I'd like to give a shout out to. He got that goal in the Europa League, and I think since that, he's just, I know it's only been 2 weekends, but he's really been striving forward with the ball. He got the assist for Antonio's goal there today as well. and it's proper like penetrating runs from really deep lying positions, which is great to see. And it's great to see because he doesn't do it stupidly either. He only does it when it's on. But he's getting in spots lately, especially that he's making himself, or he's making the situation himself, to be able to run into those channels. And I think West Ham, I don't think they'll probably outprice him again next summer with a move, because apparently they were looking for 90 this summer or above. And if he keeps going the way he's going this season, he's going to be over 120 million by their valuation, I'd say.
Price him out of a move though, because like
100%, yeah, he's not worth that, but
he's not worth that in this market, like. But he could be worth that to some team, and by God, he could definitely be worth that to you next year. I could see you paying it. But yeah, like there is no denying how good he is, and West Ham are going to want to keep. He's only 22 or 23 as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he's only around that age. Yeah,
ridiculous. And even the way you see Roy Keane was talking about him, and how Roy Keane was saying that he's well ahead of him, of how Roy Keane felt he was anyways at 22.
Yeah,
so,
I don't think he'll have the peak that Roy Keane will have, but I definitely think at 22, I don't think Roy Keane would have been. I don't know. Roy Keane was very, very good at 22, but all the same.
As long as he doesn't go City, I'm fine. My team for the win this week. Unfortunately, I wanted to pick them beforehand, is Brentford.
Yeah.
Like, you have to just, like, sometimes it just happens in football, and like you can try and make excuses. You can be an Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or whatever the fuck his name is. He's not going to be there much longer, but you just have to give it to Brentford sometimes. And yeah, they took the game to us. It's also going to link in with one of my losses with Liverpool as well, how they took the game to us. But like, Ivan Toney is, oh my God, talk about joys to watch for Antonio. Like, that man, he's in the fantasy. Salah was my captain today, but he was up top in the fantasy as well. I just knew Brentford would at least score one or two and he'd be involved. But
he's just putting himself about. It's not even the goal contribution. It's just putting himself about, like.
Well, in Mbuebu, I'm sorry if I butchered that as well. And Sergio Canos, who used to be heard as well in the commentary that his family used to own a restaurant in Liverpool as well. He played with us for a bit of time. Klopp gave him his debut. But yeah, they do have real quality, and Flick is a great coach. There's actually no denying. And I couldn't do anything. There were a lot of scrappy goals that they scored today, and a lot of like vulnerabilities from our point of view. But yeah, Brentford they really announced themselves in the Premiership, I think, today as like, you will go to Brentford and it will not be an easy game for you. You will struggle. You will have to put out your best 11 or they could tear you apart.
Yeah, especially away from home. Like I think we all looked at Arsenal, and it was that kind of perfect storm of, there was the rivalry, the first time they were in the Prem, they were obviously at home, and we almost kind of went, oh, it was the perfect storm to beat Arsenal, and they beat Arsenal, and Arsenal are no great shake, especially then. But seeing this result now, I would agree it's definitely announcing themselves on the Premier League stage a bit more. And I just, as well, I think the biggest part of that game was the fact that they went behind twice and came back, showed the heart to come back from it. Like we've seen with Norwich this season, especially, they go behind and they're finished. Like, it's 2, it's 3, it's 4, it's 5. Brentford are a different gravy. Like, they're just different gravy.
Definitely.
I think that's a good kind of segue for my next point with Brentford. But it's the broad stroke one, and it's the low level, or the quality of low level Premier League managers at the minute. I think we see at United the quality of manager maybe not up to scratch, but I think with the likes of Leeds, Brentford, even Norwich, even though they don't have the players, manager is playing great football. Who else could you even look at? Dean Smith at Aston Villa wouldn't be, they're only up a couple of years. I think the quality of managers in lower level Premier League teams is immense at the minute. There's definitely the best managers in the world here at the minute. And I think if any team is looking for a replacement manager, any top team soon, United, they should be looking at lower level Premier League teams and not looking at the likes of, look, Antonio Conte is a great manager. He's probably a bad shout to throw at it, but if it was United in the market for a manager soon, I would be looking at a Bielsa or a Dean Smith before I'd be looking at an Antonio Conte, and that's just my opinion on it.
I would completely agree with you there. Well, maybe not completely, but yeah, I can definitely see reasons. But there, like even Benitez at Everton, like Everton haven't been, like it had a brief spell under Ancelotti. Ancelotti managing Everton as well. Like even just over the past few years, this has been like, and if any job in the Premier League, like Steve Bruce gets sacked at Newcastle, it's probably 1,000 to 1 odds maybe of Antonio Conte going to Newcastle, but like the Premier League is so competitive right now.
Yeah, you wouldn't write it off either.
Write it off, and like anybody can actually scalp anybody, and there's such a bit like you can really build, and see even with things like Leicester how competitive top 4 race is, and it's like it's not actually that hard to squeak into the top 6 if you just have a good manager and get a team clicking. So like it's very attractive, and that's going to bring top managers. Just like the different styles of football as well, with the Bielsa ball and the way what Klopp has brought, what Pep has brought. They're the higher end. So the way
even like Hasselhouten at Southampton, and like that's great football. I just don't think they have the players, but he plays great football.
Yeah.
I would say the same at Norwich. Not good enough players, but great football.
Definitely. The managers is just the quality is going up and up. I think it'll only go up. And my kind of observation is about the quality of the strikers. So we're talking about lots of quality. You just see even with like Salah, he's a striker. He's a wide striker. He's kind of read striker role in some ways. Like Ronaldo's obviously doing it in different games and eras, but like he's a striker.
He's too good to be classed a wide player. Yeah. He's too good. Like for any team to play him in a really wide role, it'd be silly. Like.
Then you have like Lukaku, Antonio, who else? Even Danny Ings recently too.
Ivan Toney, you could shout with the way he's playing.
Or like Ronaldo is obviously coming. He didn't show it today.
Vardy getting 2 today and own goal.
It's actually lethal at the moment. Yeah. There's either proven goal scorers at every club, or else really, really bright talents. I'd even like Patrick Bamford is a really good Premier League.
Like I was just going to say, we haven't said, none of us mentioned Kane. I don't think none of us mentioned Calvert-Lewin, Richarlison. Who else have you?
Yeah, and who was top Golden Boot about 2 years ago. Tied for Golden Boot with Mane and Salah 2 seasons ago.
Who's that? Aubameyang. Yeah, that's who I was trying to think of. Yeah.
And like it's
like he's had a bad season there, but it's only been really one bad season.
Supposedly.
Sorry?
We didn't mention anybody from City because they have no striker, supposedly.
Yeah, Liam Delap, isn't that your man's there? See, Dortmund are looking at him too, actually.
Are they?
Yeah, they made a £13 million bid or something.
Delap, then you have to keep up that legacy, that Delap legacy.
Yeah, long throw-ins, I hope.
Yeah.
But definitely the quality of strikers in the Premier League at the minute is top notch.
Yeah. Who's your player?
We mentioned him in one of our videos before. I think it was signing of the summer, or maybe like cheap signing of the summer or something. But Demarai Gray, he got an assist again today. I think he has 3 or 4 goals in the Prem, 3 goals at least anyway in the Prem this season. For 1.5 million, like, just crazy. And like, I can't understand how it was such a low fee as well. Like, he only left Leicester for Leverkusen like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. So he had to be on some sort of decent contract. I can't understand how it was a 1.5 million fee, and he's a great player. I rated him at Leicester, and I kind of was shocked to hear that they got rid of him. Now Harvey Barnes is better, I would say. So maybe it was to make a bit more room for him, but oh god, he's just a very talented player. He's like,
Yeah,
I'd argue he's having a season that Zaha has had a few years ago when everybody was talking about him moving. He's starting off on that level, like at a bigger club as well and a better club.
Oh, just the what they've gotten for him and the amount of points that they've won so far for what they paid for him is just like a serious bang for their buck. And yeah, he's electric. And I don't know why he didn't work at Leicester or what even happened, but like maybe it's just because they didn't use him enough. But yeah, he just seems to have found a role there at Everton, and he's on fire. I don't know. I think he's not as young as maybe we all think he is too. I think he could be like 24, 25 maybe, but
he could just be coming into the prime of his career.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, like he'd be like if he was that bit younger, and if this was because it is the blossoming of his career, but if he was younger age, like he'd be a young player of the season so far. Like
yeah,
even like
definitely.
he's been very, very good to watch.
Who's your player then?
Martinez, and I know you're going to hate it, but Liliana.
Well, this is following this weekend, I assume.
Just the absolute. I fucking love a little bit of just being a shithouse and being an absolute. Just being a dickhead, but being in the memes and not hurting anybody. Love a bit of mind game zone, and
a dickhead with a point is always a great dickhead.
Who is just trying to get points for his team and save points for his team and playing mind games with one of the greatest footballers of all time, and then giving it to the United fans behind the goal. Like for anybody who didn't even see Martinez, you could see like the Villa players that were swarming around. That was really annoying Bruno, making them all upset.
All they got there, whingy about it.
Martinez pointing at Ronaldo, being like, go on, take it, man. I fucking dare you. I fucking dare you to take it, man. Ronaldo stepped back, Bruno blazes over the bar, and Martinez just turns around and gives a lovely little boogie to the United fans.
But you can see how much it affected Bruno as well. There was no hop, skip, or jump. He never hits a penalty high, bar the Brighton one.
Yeah, and he knew it was in his head as well of like, God, Ronaldo should be taking.
It was the best shithousery I've seen in a long time. It really did affect him, and you think it questioned Bruno's character a little bit because of it, because you're like, should be ice in the veins, like.
Bottle it. There was question marks about Bruno in the big games and what does he do and does he step up, and this is a very, very clear observation that maybe he can get rattled and he's maybe in his own head too much, or you can get into his head. But my God, Martinez just like if he should have got man of the match for that alone.
Just for that.
He's literally got his team 3 points there. He is rescued.
Yeah.
And he rescued House because House gave away the penalty just after the goal, and it was fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I can't argue it. Like if it had have happened to somebody else, I would be way more on the bandwagon. So if that's as much compliment as I can pay.
Keep rubbing it in.
That's all our ups. So we delve into our downs.
First down, which we both agree on, is Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I won't even bother learning, man.
Who cares? Who cares?
It's back in mold soon. So,
if they'll even have him. Yeah, we're both in agreement on this one for sure. This is kind of our person/player for the downs. Yeah. I don't even know what to say. Like, you know yourself, I had a fairly extensive voice note rant there after the match today. Emotions have settled a little bit since then, but I do just think he's done a great job. He's done a better job than world-class managers in the likes of Mourinho and Van Gaal. to steady that United ship after Ferguson leaving. It's a shame that it's 10 years on, or almost, and we're still talking about steadying that Ferguson ship. But of course, he was so influential. But like, you see what David Moyes is doing now. You see what Van Gaal and Mourinho have done in the past, and none of them could do what Ole has done to get us where we are now. But I think that's where the boat stops. Like, it's like Lampard, and Lampard was over a lot shorter period of time, but it's just that you were brought in the season we didn't have a transfer window. You steadied that ship, you got us top 4. It's time to move on. But the thing with it is that there is no hope he gets sacked if he gets top 4, and he is guaranteed to get top 4, I would say. I think the top 4 is guaranteed. We named it at the start of the season. It's going to be the same at the end. Leicester, Spurs, Arsenal are all going to bottle it, get anywhere around it. And none of the rest of them have the strength and depth to keep up with. So he'll get kept on, and he'll keep getting kept on until, I don't know. I think it's going to take the fans, because the players like him. So I think it's going to take the fans to be like, look, we need more than this. We need more than top 4. We don't want to be Arsenal under Wenger. We don't want that. We want to be a winning team. And it's just shit football. That's the problem with it, is there's fuck all difference between Mourinho football and Ole football.
Yeah.
I know you have fairly strong opinions on it too.
Yeah, well, it's just that, like, obviously I would like him to stay as long as possible, because I do as a realistic threat to a title, or quite frankly, just most, like, for all silverware, because he just doesn't have tactical awareness, or like, we know that we are not qualified to coach Man United or Liverpool, but we are absolutely amazed and befuddled at some of the decisions that he makes, and we make better decisions on FIFA every single day that are more effective for our teams than his are. And you're just kind of wondering, like where, yeah, it's, I completely agree. My great point, the fact that he's like, he took that boat so far and he steadied the ship. And in my head, I thought of Rodgers, where Rodgers took us after the kind of like Hodgson and Dalglish in that era. And then steadied that ship for a bit. Knew we probably weren't going to go any further with him, and then Klopp came in, had to steady it a little bit more, but look where we are now. Yeah, he's just, there's no excuses for him now either anymore. He has the squad, and he's not utilising that squad to their full, because we're talking about, like, all the talk in the summer was, oh yeah, we have the transfer window. It was like, oh, United have won the transfer window. Varane, Sancho, Ronaldo. Like, you have fixed your centre-back problem. You have this player, Sancho, that you were chasing for ages and breathing new life into the club. And you have CR7 coming back. Like, that mentality that he brings in, the goals that he guarantees you to get. And it was like, United are, like, everybody, like Roy Jennings and people that we watch and respect and love in football, all seriously considering United as strong title contenders above us, per se. And it's not like
it was above you.
Yeah, no, but I'm not saying that, like, as in, this is just me being annoyed at, like, you being put ahead of us. Because, to be honest, looking at squads on paper, like, it's very...
We should be.
Yeah, you should be.
If Klopp was over our team and over your team at the same time, he'd get higher with ours.
Have the best starting 11, I think, at full strength. Everybody at full strength, I think. It's hard to argue that we don't have the best starting 11, but strength and depth are probably fourth on the list, even though it's not as people make it out to be too. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, finally people stop fucking putting the sugar glass of the transfer window and the signs that they made, and actually thought about, like, what has Ollie shown in the past? Like, he doesn't actually have the bottle, like, he doesn't have what is needed to take you to the next level, and that's not going to change. And look, it might be an overreaction as well, because we're 6 games in, but you haven't looked convincing in any performance, and it's good that you were getting results, but you haven't looked convincing or controlled one game so far.
Our best game was West Ham, and we could have easily drew that.
Very easily, and Villa could have won that game 3-4-0 today even.
I know we had chances to that that, we could have converted. But
it was the fact that they had their chances like early on, and they had at least 3 clear-cut chances, good chances, before the end of the first half. So yeah, I don't really feel sorry for you. You know what? I don't actually feel sorry for you, but I'll tell you now that I do feel sorry for you. The fact that you have this squad and you have the likes of Donny, and even why doesn't he even just try and play Cavani and Ronaldo up front or something like that, and just play Pogba and Holden and Bruno just in front, and maybe Greenwood and Rashford on the right, or even Matic, because Matic is better than Fred and McTominay put together, and Fred and McTominay's baby.
You could honestly put any player in that whole squad in the central midfield roles. I'd rather Phil Jones than Fred, honestly, at this point. On current form, anyway. I think he's just very lucky, because, like, I know you mentioned that we do always be giving out about his subs. His subs last season had the most goal contributions in the league. That's crazy to me to hear, but that's the truth. But it's just pure luck. It's pure luck.
Another thing to take from that is that he ended up in a lot of situations last year where he went 1-0 down when he rotated, and that he had
saving our biscuits. Yeah,
bring on Bruno, he had to bring on Greenwood, he had to bring on all these players like Cavani to get you those goals, because these backup players, and like we were talking about during the week, he doesn't use them enough and he doesn't rotate enough, and that when he did rotate them, there were problems, and he had to bring on those bench players. And it's like, now that you've added to the squad, and just his actual substitutions and the substitutions he makes, like taking off Bruno and Ronaldo in the Champions League and switching to that back 5, and just it was madness. It was letting young boys just come and attack you for the game, and like the subs he makes, and taking off Maguire for Lindelof, you mentioned earlier as well, and that's it.
What? Apparently it was an injury. So okay, but like, it's 0-0. Go for the game. There's 20 minutes left. Go for it. Play 3 at the back. Play 3 at the back and go for it. Like,
don't just switch it out. Like, just in some way. Even put McTominay centre back. Push him a little bit back. You can play.
It's only Aston Villa at home. I'm sorry, no disrespect to Aston Villa, but why should Manchester United and Old Trafford be?
You're dead right.
Protecting the back 6 is basically what we had today.
Oh, it's ludicrous. It's absolutely ludicrous. But yeah, I think we might even do like a full, just fucking breakdown.
A proper breakdown on that, because there's so much more we could get into, and there is so much more we got into today, personally talking about it. So yeah, I think a video is warranted for it.
It might actually come across like I'm even like trying, like I mentioned earlier as well. I would love for him to stay in the job as long as possible, but like I'm just so confused, and I know there's obviously the Glazers are just happy to kind of get top 4 and just keep that Champions League money ticking in, and they're still profitable. But like, my goodness, how he's there and why he's been there for so long. Yeah, we'll probably break that down. But do you want to say your team?
Yeah, I went with an area more than a team, and that was North London. So Spurs and Arsenal in particular.
Lying in North London is on the down.
I think, excuse me, Arsenal at full strength, I'm going to say now, aren't a bad mid-table team. I'd like to look at them. I think Odegaard is a great player. I think they're probably lacking a striker, which is a bit mad to say given Aubameyang's experience, but it's just been the last 2 seasons. I think Pepe, Emile Smith-Rowe, I don't see the hype about Tierney.
Me neither.
The two, Ben White with Gabriel, is quite a good partnership. That what's that new guy they bought in really late in the window? It's not Tavares, it's something else. He's a defender. Can't remember his name.
He's from,
I think so. I'm not 100% sure now, to be honest, but he's meant to be doing very well. I haven't even seen him play, but he's meant to be doing very well. Lokonga has looked good in what I've seen. Partey is a great player. Martinelli I like as well. Like, I don't see why is that not as good as like an Aston Villa at the minute or something like that. But yeah, I think it's the manager. I think Arteta is just not good enough. They had a bad run at the start of the season too, though, so you could argue that. But I think they're in a bit of a similar situation to us in the sense that I think they have steadied their ship enough now for somebody to come in and build a project there, because he's not building a project, he's buying young talent. The young talent he's buying it didn't even make sense either. Like, I know I've mentioned the way that the team has taken shape, but Tavares they bought and they have Tierney. They're basically the same age and play the same position. And like, why do something like that, especially when you're lacking like a striker, and you could do it more centre backs, and like your issue is not left back. And he was doing that, and just questionable decisions. Especially like even like Odegaard, yeah, I've mentioned him as well, great player, but like you're putting, I didn't even mention Saka either, but like you're adding another attacker in a very similar role to like Saka, Smith Rowe, them kind of players, and are you limiting them a little bit by doing that, as opposed to going and buying the striker that you clearly needed? But yeah, that's kind of the bit on Arsenal. And then on Spurs, I just think it's just Nuno's just going to turn them into Wolves. They might have a flash in the pan season here and there, but it's 1-0 wins. It's boring stuff. They draw in that Conference League. Who even cares?
Yeah.
But they drew in that 2-2, I'm fairly sure. And
Wolves. There's no other way to describe them. And Harry Kane is just the new Jimenez, unfortunately.
He's not even as good as Jimenez, man. He's not even as good as Jimenez in that system.
In that role, yeah. He's absolutely Jimenez.
Oh yeah, he's a better striker than Jimenez, yeah. No, but in that system. Yeah, right now.
Sorry, hello?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
He's playing out in the left against Chelsea as well. And it's just, for in the first half at least, and it's just like, what is even happening at Spurs? Yeah, and there was just maybe a little bit of fart talk at the start when they got those 3-1-0 wins, but there's going to be no real run of form. They're just going to kind of hit like little bumps here and there, and then little good patches here and there, and we're going to finish 8th, maybe 7th at a good push. Like, yeah, I take one off them this weekend, I imagine.
They're level on points if Arsenal win this weekend. Like, that's big considering Spurs have bet Man City, like, you know.
The 11th at least, anyway, possibly 10th. I'm not sure. Let's look at the table again.
Yeah, they're 15th, I think, at the minute, or maybe a little bit higher. But yeah, what was I going to say on them? Like, the same thing as Arsenal, like, and even more so, they have such potential in their squad, but they just don't utilize it. Like, Kane and Son are world-class talents. Who else have you in there? Ndembele, like, what's the crack with him? He's after falling out with everyone there, apparently. Bergwijn, Christian Romero, they're just after bringing in. Lloris is a World Cup winner. Davinson Sanchez, I've always rated. Matt Doherty not even getting game time. Emerson they brought in from Barca. Like, why are they so poor?
Yeah, it's not as if they're just flying in front of me there. It's like, yeah, it's like they've done enough actually to bolster the squad. And even bringing in Bale last year, like, I know a different manager and stuff like that at that point, but like, it's a lot of the same players, and they just haven't really shown what they were hyped up to be or what they paid for them. And it's just always the same. There's no real sign of progression. Like, they reached the high point with Poch getting to that Champions League final, and like, it's just, where do they actually go from here, or what's the plan? You know, it's just hold on to Harry Kane for as long as we can. It seems wild. I
think a huge issue there as well is the dressing room. There's always something. Like, they threw Poch out after all he did for them. Like, what was it, 6 months after a Champions League final? Then Mourinho comes in. They all fall out with him. He goes. Now we have Ndembele, who's not happy. Kane, that's not happy. there's just something with Spurs that's just wrong. It's just not right. But that's all I can say on them. Will we move on to your Liverpool?
Yeah, well, I don't have too much to say. Just look, it was a bit of a sloppy performance defensively from Liverpool. I'm not going to get all fucking get me knickers in a twist too much and
overreact or anything.
all Gomez and Kanate need to be in now, and Van Dijk's past it and whatever. Like Brentford brought a lot of fucking energy and really they piled players on Trent in the box as well, and really they kept a lot of players like right on the left side of the box. But all their big men kind of there, and we definitely got caught out there for that goal when Trent got caught on the ground. And
they know he's bad in the air and can be suspect defensively as well. Like, you know,
coach looked at our backline and found some of the vulnerabilities, and just a lot of like once the second goal even went in for Brentford, then there was always that like, well, right, the first one wasn't exactly a fluke. It's just like these lads can actually catch us, and they can catch us.
The first goal was a great passage of play, I thought.
Oh, sorry.
Passage of play.
Talking like as in like, oh no, they can actually, like, a lot of these lower clubs come up and yeah, they can get a goal and then we can go on and trounce them 5 or 6-1 or most teams. But like, it's just like, yeah, it was a great passage to play, and it was such a well worked goal. And the flick from Tony was outrageous, and yeah, we just looked like Trent especially needs to start defending smarter, and I don't like he obviously can't grow a good couple of inches overnight, or he can't, like, he can work on his jump and heading and all that things, but he just needs to actually get smarter going up in the air, or like using his body to shield, or like.
Do you think he can do it putting on a bit of muscle mass?
He can, yeah, possibly. It's just he just needs to find or work on those situations, and he needs to really look at this game and like think, do you know, how can I'm not putting all the blame on him, and Robertson was pretty poor today as well. And Van Dijk, Matip actually looked probably the most solid out of everybody today.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just something that definitely needs to be looked at. And I think with Man City next weekend, it's not going to be as open. Like, we took the game too much to Brentford once it started to get the way that it did.
Yeah.
And we just said, like, right, fuck it, we'll have a go at G2 and we'll just score more than you then. It was like this old, like, 3-4 seasons ago, Klopp Liverpool, when they were just like, like he called herself, like the fucking Showtime Reds and that. We were real box office. We still are box office, like, but that was just blistering football all the time, back and forth, and just said, right, we will just stop controlling the game like we have done in previous years, and just go tit for tat, and ended up drawing. Fair result, but just it needs to be something that looked at.
Yeah, I think Van Dijk hasn't looked the same since he's come back, but not looking the same. He's top 3 centre backs of the modern era. Like, you'd put him, if you're counting modern era, as like, I'd put him, Vidic, Ferdinand, top 3. Not in that order, but it's a standard that was unbelievable. I think he's still playing solid. I think he's still looking good. It's just he's not looking like one of the best centre backs we've seen. I think your problems are your fullbacks at the minute. I think Trent, especially defensively, but I think Kostas Tsimikas deserves that left back spot for you, if I'm 100% honest. I don't think Rafa has looked that in special this season.
I don't disagree with you 100%. What I agree on is that he actually needs to be put in the team now for either the City game, or at least a string of 2 or 3 Premier League games or Champions League nights against Atletico, say, or anything like that, and properly show Robertson, like, yeah, you've been a staple in this team now for the last 5 seasons or 6 seasons, however long it's been. But there's a new guy in town too, and he's more than willing. He has a better set piece delivery than you. It's just like, it goes just as good an attacking output, and works hard defensively too. So
yeah, He lacks the shithousery that Robertson has, but that's not to say he doesn't have it either.
No, we'll either have a new starting left back, or we're gonna have a really good new starting left back that we can all get excited about and can match Robertson and possibly surpass him, or else we will get Robertson back up to the level that we know that he can play at because he has that kick up toe.
If not higher, because he has competition, because he didn't have competition when he hit them heights. Like,
it's win-win.
So yeah, I think I would love to see same thing. I think put him on the big stage, see how he goes with Tsimikas, and I think he will take that starting left back spot if Klopp lets him by the end of the year. And there's no reason he shouldn't. Like, when he's dropping the likes of Henderson to play Curtis Jones and stuff like that at times this season and last season, why can't he do it with Robertson and Tsimikas? Like, to me, Tsimikas is a far better player in his position than Curtis Jones is, regardless of his goal today. But yeah, that's just my opinion on it anyway.
I think Curtis Jones is definitely one to watch, and there's a lot of talk about him being overrated, which I don't think is. I think he's rated just fine. He's an exciting. Only get better.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I think Curtis Jones is a good player. I'm just saying Tsimikas for me is like here as like getting into that left back spot, whereas Curtis Jones is like here, like to get a centre mid spot.
Saying like, God, I mean, I don't know if he'd ever actually tried this, but like if Robertson picked up form again and was playing out of his skin, God, I wouldn't even mind seeing Tsimikas a bit further on up the pitch, even playing on a bit of a left wing role.
If you even went to a 5-back or something, like a 5-3-2, and got Trent and Rob or Trent and Tsimikas higher up the pitch and drop one of them in as a centre back, something like that. What's your kind of broad stroke down of the week?
Just that I was really hoping for City and Chelsea to just draw 0-0 today, or just draw 1-1 or whatever the fuck. I wouldn't care how many goals put in past each other, but just a draw there would have been nice, and obviously a Chelsea win would have put them further top. But yeah, just the fact that City picked up a bit of steam today and got a big result, just load City. I just really hate Manchester City, and I haven't been shy about making that feeling known at all. I completely respect and admire and cannot deny about the quality of their football, the quality of their manager from a managing and tactical point of view, even though I think he's the biggest arsehole in English football. And also just the plastic nature and identity of their club. And I think
the absolute cheek of him with the tickets too. The absolute cheek of him.
The cheek of him, and also the cheek of, well, not even the cheek of him. I think he's just, we know the problem I have with Pep is that he's two-faced, and we all know he's two-faced, and we know what he meant with those tickets. We know that he's angry, and we know that he doesn't like the scale of a club that Man City are, and he wants them to be Man United, but he's also just trying to come across as like, please come to our game on Saturday. Our players will be tired. Your players won't be fucking tired. Professional footballers are used to
You have 3 starting 11s, never mind 2.
3 starting teams. It's like, fuck up, man. Just like it, and like I go back to moments where he goes up to the referees at the end of the Liverpool game. It's the whole thank you so much, and then comes out and says like, oh, if the fans have a problem with me then saying that like come to the game, I'll leave. I'll just leave, like, you know, I'll leave.
Yeah, like, great. Show your loyalty there, good lad. Like, for me as well, it was the timing of it. It was like, he said it going into that Southampton game, knowing that coming up was Chelsea, PSG and Liverpool all in a row, which people were probably trying to save their money for and go to all 3, if possible, if you're a diehard fan. So why would I want to go to Southampton? Tell me that.
Yeah. And City, like, and another thing as well that I just like, they're not actually a big club. Most people in Manchester as well support Man United, and Man United have a worldwide fan base that people from Ireland, America, fucking Asia, everywhere come and see United play every single week, and they can afford that one trip. Like, and they have that. So where City don't have that, and City are growing as a club. And the thing that I don't want is just that just because they represent everything, just money comes into a club. The only reason that they picked Man City was because people can identify with that Manchester brand because Manchester United had been so dominant and a massive club around the world. And so let's make Manchester City big.
For sure, you've seen how they kicked it off with the Welcome to Manchester with Tevez. It was literally like, we're doing a carbon copy a year. We're literally doing a carbon copy, and we're trying to make it shit house, right? Man City.
So it's just shit that they have just picked up a bit steam, because if they had drawn that game, or even look, it would have been bad for us in terms of the title race. But with Chelsea picking up more steam, saying that a lot, but it still would have been nice for City to get battered. And
I would have rather see Chelsea win today than obviously than City, and it's mad because they're jumping ahead of us more in the title race if they had done that. But I think kick them while they're down, and they might stay down, kind of thing.
In terms of the title as well, it's like, and I struggle with this in terms of my actual feelings, and I want to see how you feel as well with it too. But like, would you rather? I think I'd rather see ye win another league than City. I'd rather see you win the league this year than City win another one. And I think, would you rather see us win the league this year rather than City just win it again?
Yeah, definitely. Especially after the Grealish signing, and being like so arrogant to say, "Oh, we don't need a striker again."
Yeah,
like we've went and bought Ronaldo. Chelsea went and bought Lukaku, and City think, "Oh, we actually don't need a striker again." Like that sickened me, especially. I definitely would rather see you win than them 100%.
The more leagues that they win as well, it just further proves the theory that is just so heavily circulating in football. And it's not theory, it's a proven theory, it's fact. It's that the more that you pump into a team, the more money that you pump into a team, and the higher value that your squad is, you're just guaranteed success. Not in all areas, and not all the time, but in pretty much all the areas, and over a nice span of time. If you like PSG, and like, you can really dominate your domestic league with just having fucking 40-50 million pound players everywhere, and just buy your coach, pick your brand, build them up, have a shit third kit, just fuck off, Man City.
Yeah, exactly. My broad stroke down for the week is the top four, so it does lead into, especially this weekend is mainly why I've mentioned the top four. Would you agree in saying the Premier League's the best league in the world?
Yeah, I would for sure.
And I think we hyped up our top four at the start of the season a lot, and I just think the points that have been dropped so far doesn't meet my expectations, especially given the last few seasons, with say year madness season of how long you went undefeated before the Watford game, City doing Centurions the year before, City having a high points tally last year, looking like 90 points is the league mark, and then to see them teams improve in the summer, Barry, but improve in the summer, especially United and Chelsea massively improving in the summer, and them dropping points to poor teams already. United and City have both dropped points to Southampton. Like, come on, it's Southampton without Danny Ings as well. It's Southampton. Spurs as well beating Man City. Like, come on, they didn't even have Harry Kane. And then Chelsea look, they dropped points to Man City, and Man City looked really good today. So look, you can't argue too much against that. And year drop points as well haven't been too bad, but I think especially ourselves and Man City, I've looked at them and just been like, why was I expecting so much more? Why was I expecting at the start of the season for United and City to be 6 games in with 18 points, and they're 6 games in with 13 points? like 5 points dropped at this stage of the season it's just poor. I just had a lot higher expectations, and that's why they're the top four is my down, because our top four are all on 13 points at the minute. Barry year on 14, and I was just expecting this to be the best title race and the nittiest grittiest in a while, and maybe have 3-4 teams instead of 2 or instead of 1 like we've had previously. And yeah, maybe we still might have the 3 or the 4 title race, horse title race. But it's not going to be down to brilliance. It's going to be down to dropping points to bad teams at times.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's laid out, like, the teams have Man City, the teams and United dropping points to Southampton, not that convincing of a side altogether. And Tottenham without Harry Kane, Chelsea and us drawing with each other, neither of us could really, like, make a statement win there. City even today didn't make a real statement necessarily, apart from just, oh look, we can keep the ball well again, against Chelsea. So yeah, and you've dropped 4 points, and if we wanted to really show this weekend that we were like, all right, we're probably nailed on favourites after 6 games for the title, if we had won that game 4-2, 5-2, or even hung on for a 3-2, like on a weekend like that, and we were playing a 5-5, and teams before us had dropped those points.
Exactly, it's the manner a year loss, especially.
Yeah. And it's just, but I would also say that, like, Chelsea, Liverpool, and City, and at times, in terms of some of the goals that you've scored, but also you have managed your games well, but there's no denying your squad too. Like, you've all played great football and had great performances so far in the Premier League, and like Chelsea against Tottenham were magnificent in that second half. We were really, really, like, we've basically, like, even Chelsea, we were good in every other game, like, we've been solid in too, and the AC Milan match as well. And City, that performance against Chelsea, and they can still, they scored like fucking 16 goals in 3 games, like, as well. It's not as if they've lost it all together. Like, the quality is still definitely there, and the quality from below, like you mentioned with the managers, is higher as well. So that's kind of balancing it out in that, like, it's not as Aston Villa could easily take points. I think Aston Villa could go out and beat Man City as well on their day if City have an off day too. Or, like, that's the way that the Premier League is, and that is why it is the best league in the world too. And it does sound a bit cliche, but just anybody can take points off anybody. Who thought Brentford and Liverpool were going to draw 3-3 realistic before the game?
Exactly. I'm just looking at it. Yeah, I agree with you in terms of Villa aren't a bad team and can take points. It was in Old Trafford. That's what I'm thinking about that result.
Yeah.
Man City and Southampton. It was in the Etihad, and Southampton should have had a penalty. An honourable mention for a shout for a broad stroke down this season is VAR also. I think it's been ridiculous, especially with penalties. It's been ridiculous. And that's not the United have had harsh calls, but that's everything. That Southampton one was the worst of the lot. It's way worse than any of the United ones. But anyway, that's another thing. But yeah, like I said, it's the manner. It's City's drop points are to Spurs without Harry Kane and a Southampton at home, which should have been a loss, not even a draw. Your drop points this weekend, especially. Was the late kickoff, and it was really the chance. And the same with us this weekend as well, because we knew Man City and Chelsea were playing, so somebody's dropping points, if not both of them. So this is where you have to win, and we both sides let their fans down. Like, I think it is the high standards that they've been held to over the last few seasons. And City walked it by the end of last year. You walked it the year before. City didn't walk it, but they had the 100 points the year before. So I think it is just that standard I'm looking at from the last 4 years, and I'm thinking these teams now are far better than them teams. Bar when Aguero was at City for the Centurions, the teams every all the top four have at the minute are far better than their previous years, and they're not looking as good in my opinion. Bar Chelsea, I would say.
I would say even
And he hasn't as good a team now as he had either. He hasn't. Van Dijk, you know, when the year you won the league, your team is far.
Mane, Firmino, and was Wijnaldum is gone now as well too, and no, it's like in fairness, but no, I do agree that it hasn't been what we thought it would be so far.
It is just the high standards from previous years, and they're not living up to that.
Yeah. That's fair. Is that all our losses?
That's all our losses.
Is that a wrap, folks?
That is a wrap, I think.
Right.
Thanks for tuning in to our groovy episode anyway.
Yeah.
And what were you going to say there?
Just some crazy midnight shenanigans. And a crazy shenanigan of a weekend.
Yes, indeed. It's been a mad Saturday. It's been a mad Saturday.
That's for sure. Nobody got fucking a clean slate on a clue letter. Not at all. Love to see that.
Yeah, the fantasy is going to be fairly shot this weekend. Let's put it that way. All right, guys. Good night and God bless. See you next time. Like and subscribe.
Thank you very much, folks.